Radicals part 2. What does rationalize the denominator mean? Rationalize means a nice number. Something you can write as a fraction, like 2 or 3, because 3 you can write as 6 over 2, or 2 you can write as 4 over 2. And denominator means nice number on the bottom. So example A, 5 divided by square root of 2, we just want to get rid of the square root of 2 and make it a nice number. So we're going to multiply top and bottom by square root of 2. So 5 times square root of 2 is 5 square root of 2. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4, which is square root of 4 is 2. So that's your answer. The reason why is because 2 is a nice number, and square root of 2 was not a nice number. So all they ask us to do is make the bottom a nice number. Example B, square root of 3 divided by 7. I'm just going to rewrite so it looks nicer. Square root of 3 divided by square root of 7, because this just means that 3 over 7 with the square root, that means square root of 3 divided by square root of 7. So what I'm trying to do is make this a nice number. So I'm going to multiply square root of 7 on top and bottom because I can't change the number. Square root of 3 times square root of 7, since these are both learners, like there's no two of the same factors, we just multiply them since they're in the square root. 3 times 7 is 21. And square root of 7 times square root of 7 is square root of 49. The square root of 49 is just 7. And that's your answer. Now if you try, 6 divided by square root of 3, we want to make the bottom a nice number, so we're going to multiply top and bottom by square root of 3. 6 times square root of 3 is 6 square root of 3. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is square root of 9, which is just 3. Now, you can reduce the 3 and the 6 because they're both outside and there's no plus or minus. So 6 divided by 3 is just 2. 2 square root of 3 is your answer. C, 8 times 5 divided by square root of 6. I'm just going to rewrite this. So square root of 5 over square root of 6. And the 8 is on top because it's 8 over 1 and you multiply across. So right here I'm going to multiply it by square root of 6 on top and bottom. I just want the bottom to be a nice number. Square root of 6 times square root of 6 is square root of 36, which is just 6. Now on top, I'm just going to check if there's any pairs that I can take out. 3 and 2 and a 5. Now they're all loners, so I'm just going to multiply all of them together. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 times 2 is 30. Okay, you can multiply square roots and square roots, but you see how the 8 is on the outside? You just leave that by itself. Now right here, 6 and 30 I can't reduce because square root of 30, the 30 is inside the square root and the 6 is outside. 8 over 6 can reduce because they're both outside and there's no plus or minus. So what goes into 8 and 6? 2, right? So 4 over 3 4 square root of 30 over 3, and that's your answer. Okay, now when we get to D, it's a little different. Because how many terms do we see on bottom? We see two terms. Now when we want to get rid of the square root on the bottom, so we're going to multiply by 5, the opposite, so minus square root of 3 on top and bottom. So distribute the top. 4 times 5, 20. 4 times square root of 3 is negative 4 square root of 3. And then I'm going to multiply the bottom, follow it out. 5 times 5, 25. 5 times square root of 3 is negative 5 square root of 3. Square root of 3 times 5, these should be opposites and they should cancel out the second and third term always. 5 square root of 3. Square root of 3 times negative square root of 3 is square root of 9, which is negative 3. Okay. So right here, what I have on top is 20 minus 4 square root of 3. I combine like terms on bottom. These two, they're like terms, so they cancel out because one's negative 5 and one's positive 5 square root of 3. 25 minus 3 is 22. Now since it says all divided by 22, I'm going to split up the two fractions. So it's going to be 20 minus 4 square root of 3 divided by 22. 20 over 22 reduces to 10 over 11. 4 over 22 reduces to 2 square root of 3 over 11. And that's your answer. Now for our last example, eat. I'm going to write it right here. 6 divided by 4 minus square root of 2. Now the instructions say just to rationalize the denominator. So on the bottom, when I'm done, it's going to be a nice number, like a whole number or a decimal that you can write as a fraction. So I'm going to multiply this by 4, and remember it's the opposite, plus square root of 2. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 4 plus square root of 2. Take our time multiplying. 6 times 4, 24. 6 times square root of 2, 6 square root of 2. FOIL the bottom, 4 times 4, 16. 4 times square root of 2 is 4 square root of 2. Negative square root of 2 times 4. Remember, these cancel out, so it should be the opposite. Negative 4 square root of 2. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2. So it's negative 2 because there's one negative and there's a positive. So that makes it a negative. On top, there's nothing to combine that's alike. On bottom, the two middle ones are alike. They give you 0. 16 minus 2 is 14. Now, since this is all divided by 14, I can't just reduce the 24 and the 14. I have to split it up before I reduce. 6 plus 24 plus 6 square root of 2, all divided by 14. Reduce. What goes into 24 and 14? 2. So 2 goes into 24 12 times. 2 goes into 14 7 times. Now I'm reducing the 6 and the 14 because they're both outside and there's no plus or minus separating the square root. What goes into 6 and 14? Well, they're both even, so 2. So 2 goes into 6 3 times. Square root of 2. 2 goes into 14 7 times. And that's radicals part 2. Thank you.